Oh, relax looking, Jay-Z. Season over, Jay-Z.
Well, that's it. The season is over. Jim, hello, Bridge. Bringing some
Hello.
class to the show.
Thank
I like
you.
this.
Thank you, Jose. Congratulations to you for a great year too.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Although
amazing.
one season finishes, Bridge, and then you sort of got to try and step it up a gear because then we go into the trade period, which brings a whole nother level of madness to things. So,
Clayton Oliver, when we speak about this,
yes.
much ado about nothing, or was there plenty in there?
It's been a massive story. I think the development over the last sort of 6 or 8 hours is that Clayton Oliver has indicated to Melbourne that he wants to commit to the standards and disciplines that they want.
Good.
And that he wants to stay at Melbourne. So if you'd asked me that question 48 hours ago, I felt like it was really up in the air, a bit of a 50-50 situation. But the feedback, Melbourne has been really buoyed by what he said and what his manager Nick Geeshan has said sort of yesterday and today. So I think the parties are moving closer together on agreement to stay.
So can I ask
Yep.
a question for people who don't know?
Yeah.
Why are Melbourne questioning him?
Because his professionalism and standards and behaviour, body language have been a real problem, Bridge. And it's complex. Like Clayton has some personal challenges, which Melbourne have really supported him with for a long period. But it's got to the point where Simon Goodwin, Alan Richardson, Gary Pert wanted to draw a line on the sand, a line in the sand, because Melbourne, this final series, the past 2 years, they've bowed out in straight sets, tiny margins, whiskers, and this game is a small margin. So to help try and get the standards they want on and off the field, to get the cohesiveness in the midfield, the synergy, they've said to Clayton, we're not putting up with this anymore. We're not looking the other way. This has to improve. So we saw it with
That's fair enough too, from a footy club point of view.
What I was going to ask you, Jim, they have been really firm and really hard here. It is strong leadership from those guys. What do you think from a broad brush perspective about it? Because I think Melbourne fans 48 hours ago going, why the hell are we trying to kick out one of the best players in the competition?
And I get they would think that, and they're not inside the tent, so they don't know the detail that you've just gone into, and you know much more than you're giving us, and I totally understand why. So what the club have said is, listen, mate, we can't keep going on like this.
Yep.
You've got to get to a point where you can deliver us and the other 42 on the list, or 41, whatever it is now, what we need.
How much has it got to do with the 12 weeks he had off? A bit to do with that?
He didn't handle that well. That is a big part. And I think towards the end of the year, he was late to his exit meeting. He was in a bit of a state. And I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So you get to the exit meeting, you want to talk about, right, the standards over summer, you're going to come back in great shape. And he's all over the shop. Well, it's like, what are the issues here? We've got to get to the issues.
Well, it's good that they've got back into a room and had it out. And because I love Clary, lived with my brother for a year when he first joined Melbourne. He's a ripper. I just hope that not wake-up call, because it's not that, but I just hope he takes these meetings for what they are meant to be and goes away and goes, right, I've got to tick the boxes.
Largely, Melbourne wants to help Clayton, but he's also got to commit to that and help himself, essentially. So they've got to meet in the middle on some things, and you can't, when you've got one of your highest paid players and one of your leaders of your team doing the wrong thing, well, it sets a horrible example for everyone else. So if Melbourne are going to make the most of this premiership potential, I like what they're doing. I think you mentioned a wake-up call. I think he has got this message. It has hit him because does Clayton Oliver really want to change clubs? Is he a person who's going to be able to adapt and adjust to new environments? I probably like Geordie to go, maybe Dustin Martin.
There's two great examples.
Yeah, well,
of
then
blokes
they've
who
turned
have
it
got
around.
it absolutely right and then have gone on to win premierships. All right, Xavier.
Can I just say that said, right? That said, if things do fall apart and Melbourne want clarity by the end of the weekend on all this situation, if things do fall apart, I got Adelaide is the clear front runner.
Oh, okay.
They are all over him.
Righto.
They are driving the wedge. They are trying to get Clayton Oliver. Darren Burgess, the fitness chief, who you respect, Jim, he has a great relationship with Clayton and thinks not only physically he can get the best out of him, but knows him as a person.
But how would they get him? How would they do that deal?
Oh, it'd be a mega one. So they've got their first round pick. They've got a top 10 pick. That would be the starting point. Melbourne would want a secondary high choice as well. Shane McAdam, they're interested. He's coming across from Adelaide. So there'd be some parts to it. But also they've got to fit his salary, which I believe is up to 1.3, as much as $1.5 million over the life of this collective bargaining agreement. He's got the full TPP increase, the full whack. So I think they can manage it, Adelaide, but it does take up a big chunk of their salary cap. They would love him because he's exactly what they need, and he has the relationship with Burgess.
Also what they don't have. Xavier Dersma, while we're talking Adelaide.
Yeah, so he could be headed to Essendon, and this has only really developed over the last 24 hours. Port Adelaide, we know, are busy. They want Sava Radigalea, Brandon Zerk-Thatcher, and Jordan Sweet from the Western Bulldogs, but they've only got that future first-round pick, don't they? So Jason Cripps is under pressure, the Port Adelaide list boss. They may have to lose one. There was a bit of talk about Ollie Wines, the Brownlow medalist. Port saying he's definitely staying, but he's an on-baller who's been playing on the wing. So he didn't have his best season, clearly, or a great season. So Xavier Dersma, who could provide a bit of polish and class on the wing, that outside running power. Essendon has got a lot of good inside toughish midfielders. It is the running power, the wing sort of speed that they are looking to. So it's a nice fit for Essendon. I think this could develop potentially a straight swap. Brandon Zerk-Thatcher for Xavier Dersma to Essendon.
They gave up their first rounder for Jason Horne-Francis. They do it again. That's 2 years in a row. You want to win a flag.
Yes.
Otherwise,
all in.
You're kicking the can right down the road, little Jay-Z. He kicked the can last night.
Yes, he did.
Can I make a comment on Jay-Z? You've just done that. He's just gone blah, 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 blah. Names, with not a note in front of him.
He's the best.
It's Jay-Z, I'm extraordinated.
We need you here all the time.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, so Hawthorn. So they've missed out on a couple of their key defender targets, haven't they? And Sava Radigalea, Ben Mackay wanted to go to Essendon. So they did miss out on the back end a little bit, but we do expect them to get Marbior Chol.
Phones.
Yeah, former Richmond.
No, I told you. See, I was across this.
Can you explain this?
Before anybody.
Yes.
The reception on the Gold Coast is not good enough. And phones, in the end, he had an iWatch on trying to get his text coming through while he's training. I knew he'd crack it and come back to Melbourne. It was only a matter of time.
So he's a busy communicator.
Very busy. He had to put a boy on.
So he's headed to Hawthorn. You expect him to play forward because Kajitsky is gone.
Yes,
He's gone to
yes.
Richmond. So there's a ring-a-rosy happening here. Right. Mitch Lewis needs another partner in the forward 50. He's going to take a couple of clunks, you think, Marbior Chol.
Yep.
You still worry a little bit about the back line because James Sisley does a lot of heavy lifting there for Hawthorn in the back half. So they've made a move, Hawks, but they've otherwise missed out on a couple of their key defender
North
targets.
Melbourne?
Yeah, so they're expecting, and we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, they will get Zach Fisher from Carlton. Could be a 5-year deal for Zach Fisher. So
That's good for him.
It is good. So he's still got two.
Explain this to me, because Bridge,
Yes.
who I know has been fascinated with this, asked us this question earlier on.
Yeah.
Why are we in this era of 8-year deals?
Of massive deals.
Yeah, why is that?
Aaron Norton got the 8-year deal. Sydney, I believe, offered him 10.
10.
So if you're Western Bulldogs, you've got to sort of match it.
Yeah, well, I get
You
it.
know?
But they're becoming very common. And Zach Fisher,
Yep.
I mean, he could well be a very handy player for North,
Yeah.
but he doesn't scream 5-year deal to me.
No, the thing is, though, he had 2 years to run on his Carlton deal already. So he already had that. And to get him across the line, they had to put an extra bit of sugar and spice on it. But you're right, for Zach Fisher, who's been in and out of the Carlton team, that is an attractive option, isn't it? So that's why he's heading to North Melbourne. The other one is Dylan Stevens, a high pick 5 from the Sydney Swans. What they're trying to do is get some more class and run on the outside. They've got some bulls on the inside. They want a bit more running power on the outside. And with the compensation picks they've been given North, expect them to get pick 3 for Benny Mackay to Essendon. Your boys are in a strong position.
That works. All right, what about the 2 grand finalists? Because it's hard to do much from there.
Good news for the Brisbane Lions, because not only have they got Tommy Duday, who's the Essendon defender, coming off 2 knees. Oh, sorry, Adelaide defender, coming off 2 knees.
But can play.
Can play. Yep. He can take a good mark, and that was sort of the one weakness, that sort of third defender spot Brisbane was targeting. So they get Duday, and also Dev Robertson is going to stay.
That's good.
Yeah, so West Coast were quite keen on him. He's a hard nut, and he's got a great rig. We've seen that when he ripped his jumper. But he's a hard nut, so he's going to stay. So Brisbane have had a good couple of days. The other team is Collingwood. They're into Tommy Duday as well. There has been a bit of talk about Ollie Wines. And Port have tried to shut that down. But what is clear is that Collingwood is recruiting for the now. You know, other than Nick Dacos and Finlay McRae.
They've got Mitchell and Adams who play in and under.
Yeah, they do. So I thought that was a bit of a curious one. Obviously, you know, Pendlebury in his last couple of seasons. I sort of thought they might have been well stocked for talent in that area. But anyway, that's the sort of chat amongst club circles. So Collingwood in the now, Brisbane have done really well. The 2 grand finalists certainly want to do a Geelong and stay up the top, Jim.
All right, got about a minute left. What
Yes.
else is kicking around, JZ?
Yes, we mentioned North Melbourne, Essendon, West Coast we've mentioned, Brisbane we've mentioned, excuse me. So Carlton and Collingwood. Carlton are in more of a retention phase. They're trying to get Elijah Hollands down there from Gold Coast, of course, to add again to a bit more of that spunk on the outside. Melbourne, we mentioned Clayton Oliver. They're going to get Shane McAdam from Adelaide. Again, an exciting playmaker for the forward half. They're confident of being able to keep Harrison Petty. So Adelaide have been very keen on him. They need him and Jacob Van Rooyen to fire in the forward half and clean up their ball use. Some of their efficiency cost them the finals, of course. So they're confident of keeping Petty. Van Rooyen, they think, could be their star spearhead. The Western Bulldogs kept Aaron Norton, and they might get Nick Caulfield from St Kilda.
I know the draft is a way off and it's not necessarily your space, but I've been having a look at the Daniel Curtin highlights out of the waffle. Ooh,
Yes.
He looks a good boy,
A good judge told me he's a key defender with Bontempelli moves. That's not
Have-
bad.
Check him out
Yes.
on YouTube. He is the juice. Great to see you, mate.
Thanks,